I know as sure as I'm standing here that this package is better than anything that Democrats are going to produce, dream up. And I also am heartened by the progress that the Senate has made on forging a bipartisan bill on this issue. And I'd say again, thanks to the Republican leadership over there. And I challenge the Democrats to stand up on this point. If they say this is a war, then treat it as such. We've got to fight the drug war on all four fronts at once, shrinking the supply by destroying crops and labs and by patrolling our borders vigorously, increasing both the certainty and the severity of punishment for dealers and users alike, deterring drug use with testing and with education that begins early in life and continues right on into the workplace. And to those who say that drugs should be legalized, I say that legalization is just another word for surrender, and surrender is not in our vocabulary. Yeah.
President, you say in your statement that I challenge Democrats to stand up on this point. You say this is a war and treat it as such. Don't let these killers back on the streets. Has your dealings as an part of the administration with General Manuel Noriega allowed drug dealers back on the streets?
No. When it was found that Noriega was implicated, he was indicted by our administration, and I want to see him brought to justice by our administration. I think we ought to give credit to the military for what they have done. It was with the help of these people here that we changed the Posse Comitatus laws, with their help and support that the military does do the interdiction, does help coordinate a lot of the interdiction efforts. And so there's some good work going on. You listen to the Democrats out there, it's as though nothing has happened. In my view, the military can do more without getting into the heart of its main mission of readiness. We have to keep a ready military. There's no question about that. That's the major function of the Defense Department. But if this is a war, they can participate more in this war. And, well, stepping up the efforts on interdiction, if we can get more resources. I'd like to point out it was the Democrats that cut $72 million bucks from the Coast Guard budget. And somebody ought to tell Governor Dukakis that, because he's attacking us. They cut $72 million out of what we recommended. So there can be more of that kind of thing. We've kind of looked the other way in too many cases. So if it's an all-out war, users have to pay the price.
Federal school loans too, and pilot licenses.
We got to look at each category. I'm not saying which ones it should be, but we've got to put a lot more focus on the user. Yeah. And to the degree the federal government has the funds, the more it can put into drug interdiction and education, the better it is. I am sick and tired at the level of politics I'm involved in of hearing the Democrats do nothing but tear down and criticize. And I'm talking about Jesse Jackson and Michael Dukakis for the last 2 months. But if you listen to what the Democrats are doing out there at the national level, it has become, they're trying to make it into a shrill political issue. And you look at the substance of the proposal by these members of Congress, I don't think it has a Democratic label or a Republican label. It is good, sound, anti-narcotic policy. Now, are they strong in this on criminal penalties? Absolutely. But I don't think that ought to be a Democratic or a Republican issue, and that's why I'm challenging Michael Dukakis to join in. And get Jesse Jackson to join in. Get the leadership that's going to be involved in this thing in the fall to agree that it's time now, regardless of what our past positions have been, to put the death penalty on these drug kingpins. And let's see them join it. And if they don't want to join in, explain why.